So in this video, I want to talk about how to map your current web forms. We have an amazing feature here in CaptureTrackConvert. If you currently have website forms where you're collecting people's information, you don't have to rebuild them in CTC. You can use the current ones you have, and you can do that easily by using our web form mappings feature. So to get to that area, click on the Marketing Center, and then click on the Forms tab over here on the left-hand sidebar, and then under that you'll see either the Form Builder, but for this tutorial, click the Web Forms Mapping. So once you do that here, you'll see that it loads our nice web form mapping dashboard here, and this dashboard allows you to see all of your most highly used web forms, how many times they've been triggered, how many times they've been filled out, and then you can use the form conversion history sliders here to get some more data on how they perform on a day-to-day or a month-to-month basis, year-to-date, things of that nature. So below here, you also see all of your current forms, which ones are active. If you need to edit them or delete them, you can do that right here. If you want to deactivate them, you can simply click that checkbox and deactivate them. So for demo purposes here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and show you an existing form map, so you can see how it looks when it's completed. But obviously you can create new form maps at any time by clicking over here, New Web Form Map, in your left-hand sidebar here. So that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at one. We're going to look at the contact form sign up here. So I'll go ahead and click that here. So whether you're creating a new form or editing an existing one, when you click a new web form map, you're going to see these first few fields here. It's going to first ask you for the web form map name. So you can name it anything you want. This is the name that's going to appear inside your CTC account. It's going to ask you, is this form tied to a role? As we've talked about in other tutorials, roles are assigned to users. So if you have a special landing page or form and it's only supposed to be for a certain salesperson or user, you can assign that to them. Now this is very important, the web form mapping URL. So how web form mappings work is this: as long as our tracking code, that tracking code you installed, or which you should have installed in the very beginning when you first set up your account, as long as that tracking code is on the page where your form exists, CTC can automatically retrieve those forms. So first step after putting the name and the role is put the URL where that form exists. For this example here, CaptureTrackConvert/support is a page we had on our site where we had a form, and there's a box here to ignore additional get variables. In most cases you don't need to check this, but if you have a dynamically driven site or a database driven website where at the end of the URL string here there's a whole bunch of different variables or however way it would look, you can exclude those out by clicking this checkbox, and in our technology will just look for the form to exist on a traditional URL. But for most, you don't need to do that unless you have variables, so you can leave it unchecked. Next step, once you put the URL in, is you retrieve the form fields. And what CTC will do once you click that is it'll go to that page, it'll look and see the form, and it'll spit back to you all of the fields here that it finds for that form. So in this case here, as you can see, contact name, contact email, contact subject, if it had CAPTCHA, the submit button, there's a message box. Now, as you can see here, the way you name your form fields, they don't match up to the way we have them named in CTC. So you have to match it up using these drop-down boxes. So, for instance, name, you can put in, with this drop-down, is this the first name, the last name? We always suggest as a best practice, if you haven't done this and you can go ahead and do it, is to strip out the name. So if you're currently keeping somebody's name in one field, break that out into two fields, call it first name and last name. So that way when you map it in CTC, you can apply a field for first name, you can apply a field for last name. If you can't do that or you don't want to take the time to do that, then you can always put the full name in the first name field, and that's where it'll exist. Obviously here I need to map my email address, so I chose email address. And then for these other ones I didn't care to capture that information, so I just used the do not record. But let's say I wanted to capture a message, and it's not a pre-built field that's already just natively included here. What you want to do is you'll want to create a custom field first. So you go up to custom fields here and you create that field. You can call it message field or did like something field, whatever the information is that we don't inherently have. And when you do that, it'll then go back and it'll appear here. As you see, I have some at the bottom. I have a URL, time zone, prospect type, wealth manager. So your custom fields will appear in this list, and then you can then assign it, and that way anytime somebody fills out that field, it'll appear where you want it to. So far we've talked about naming it, the role, putting the URL where it exists, retrieving the fields, and then mapping the fields. Now there's a final step. You want to assign these leads who fill out that form to an email list. So what you can do is, if you haven't created a list, you can easily create a list by creating the Create New List button. As you see here, a little box pops up. You can name the list, hit Save, and it'll create the list and auto-check it for you. Or you can go through all of your currently available lists, as you see here, find the list you want to add them to, BAA leads, maybe the contact form list, filled out contact form, or leads from a certain show, whatever it is. Hit those check boxes, hit Save, and you've now mapped your current form. So, not that hard. You can map all of your forms in a short matter of time, but you want to test it out. Did it work? Did it not work? So the best way to do that is to go back after you've mapped your form, go to your visitors page here. Click on visitors, and then be a visitor yourself. Go to your website, click around, and you'll notice that you'll come back here and refresh, and you'll notice that there's an anonymous profile. And what you can do then is fill that form out, like as if you're a user on your site. Once you do that and you filled it out, come back to this visitors page and you'll see that you went from an anonymous visitor, like Oracle here, to the information that you provided, your name, email, whatever you provided. So that's one of the best ways to test out the form is just be a user yourself, test it, and you'll see that you went from anonymous to identified. So that's how our web form mapping feature works. If you need more information, check out the Marketing Center and our help desk for the written documentation. Thank you.